I think the Republican nominee is unfit to serve as president. I said so last week, and he keeps on proving it. This isn't a situation where you have an episodic gaffe. This is daily and weekly, where they are distancing themselves from statements he's making. There has to be a point at which you say, this is not somebody I can support for President of the United States.
The grief of a mother and father over the loss of their son in war, a candidate who remains relentless in casting aspersions about their intent, the fomenting of attacks by the ill-informed and easily led on parents of those who identify with the issue, and now a president that has a very tattered history of dealing with war has dropped his gloves in a full-blown verbal battle over this discourse. While many believe and are hoping Donald Trump ends his attack on grieving parents, is this a fight President Obama needs to be involved in? And is he only helping the Republican nominee as his own records and failed policies are laid bare for even more scrutiny? Let's drop our gloves, land a few punches where they are deserved. In this corner, the Democratic strategist from Cate Communications in Florida, holder of a mean verbal left hook, Franco Ripple. In this corner, former director at FEMA, afternoon drive time talker at 630 KHOW in Denver, Colorado, the baddest right uppercut in the Rockies, Michael Brown. All right, gentlemen, let's get right to it. Mike, I'm going to begin with you on this one. The president went after Donald Trump today over the attack on the parents of the slain soldier, and this all happened at the DNC. We don't need to go into any further detail. We know what we're talking about here. The president said Republican criticisms of Donald Trump ring hollow. He said that Donald Trump had demonstrated he was woefully unprepared to do this job. Michael, I'm not a conspiracy guy, but this almost sounds like the perfect trap that Donald Trump may have laid, because he knows that Republicans cannot stand Barack Obama in any sense. And when he gets the president to come after him, it almost seems like he's getting the president to help him become more popular. What do you think?
Oh, I think so. Look, it's an upside down, inside out, bizarro world. And so I think Obama made a mistake that's twofold. One, he should never have done this in a joint press conference with the prime minister from Singapore. That's just inappropriate, and I think it just shows poor diplomatic protocol. But second of all, Obama knows exactly what he's doing. If Hillary says that you can bait Trump with a tweet, then Obama knows that he can bait Trump with a statement out of the White House. And so now we've got to watch and see, does Trump take the bait, or does Trump, shocker of shockers, which I don't believe he can do, does he rise above this and ignore it? And then I guess the last thing I'd say is this. The president ought to just shut up. This is an election. He's still the president of everybody. We know he has endorsed Hillary Clinton. Now let the people and the campaigns do what they need to do, and he should do something he hasn't done for the past 7.5 years, and that's actually go govern.
So, Franco, he took the questions, they weren't actually prepared statements, and then he went after Donald Trump. What can he hope to gain here? Because everybody knows he hates Trump. He knows that, as Michael said, that he's basically backing Hillary Clinton. Was this not a mistake by the president?
Of course it wasn't a mistake. And first of all, how about a little respect? Because I doubt that the president that Michael served, that he would have told him to shut up. So first of all, a little respect. Second of all, it was in response to a question and not just a prepared statement. I think what Michael's trying to say is that domestic politics should stop at the water's edge. But guess what? When Donald Trump called on the Russian government-sponsored hackers to try to find some missing emails that are a settled case by now, he has injected the world stage into the American election.
Well, I get that. I get that, and you're right, but I got to interrupt you for a second here, because it again comes down to the president on an attack on Donald Trump here. Did he really think he was going to gain anything here? Is he not just stepping right into Donald Trump's trap?
He's not stepping into a trap because Donald Trump, let's face it, Donald Trump is not smart enough to lay a trap like this. I know a lot of people have talked about his supposed business acumen that comes from 4 failed bankruptcies in business, but he is not smart enough to lay a trap like this. And further, the president is trying to say that the president of the United States sets the tone for this nation. And the fact is, the Republican Party continues to coalesce around someone who is setting a tone for this nation that says it's okay to attack the parents of a slain soldier. It's okay to misconstrue their intentions. It's okay to tell them they have no right to patriotic dissent. If the Republican Party and Michael Brown are okay with that, then, well, okay.
All right, Michael, I was going to go on to something else here, but I'm going to give you a chance to respond.
First of all, I don't condone what Trump did with the Comm family, along with those other Gold Star family members, nor do I condone what they did at a Pence town hall where they tried to shout down a woman who simply wanted to ask a question about the Comm family and the disrespect of the family. I find it despicable on both parties to start utilizing and exploiting slain service members. Get off that kick. That doesn't do anybody good, and I find both parties despicable for doing it.
I will have to agree with you on that because as the son of an Army veteran, I find it despicable and reprehensible the way that they shouted this woman down at this Carson City, Nevada gathering here when it was a town hall. I really find that that's, well, wait a minute, let me ask you on this because I have a feeling, Franco, that you'd only agree with me on this, but this is where this country is going, whether it's left or right or whatever here. We seem to have an electorate at this point that feels entitled to be nasty, dirty, unhappy, to get in people's faces more than we ever have before. Is it not fair to say, come on, Franco, that it's both parties? Yes, I know you're going to say the Republicans do it more, but don't both sides have to back down a little?
Well, first of all, it wasn't the Republican nominee who disparaged the parents of a slain soldier on national television. It wasn't. The Democrats spent an entire evening of the DNC celebrating the military. So that being said, look, I'm an ad maker, right? I make political ads for a living. I will tell you, I think there's way too much negative political advertising in the political arena. Why do we do it? Because it works. It's an unfortunate truth. But in an increasingly crowded, complicated political space with more people like Michael talking on the airwaves and TV and certainly the internet, you have to get your message across in the most guns blazing way possible. It's unfortunate, but frankly, I think the biggest thing we can do is to overturn Citizens United and get the dark money that fuels so much negative advertising, get it out of politics, and you'll see people return a little bit to some decency.
I saw Michael lean back. I'm sure he's got something here, but I only got 2 minutes left and I got it. Michael, I'll give you 15 seconds. Quick answer on that. Go ahead.
Citizens United, really? So it's okay for the unions to contribute politically, but a corporation who's made up of people can't contribute? This Citizens United crap is nothing but a bunch of crap.
All right, now I got 2 minutes left. Hang on, I got 2 minutes left. I got to move on to other things. I have a Clinton question for both of you here. First of all, Michael, the Wall Street Journal talks about the Clinton Foundation state and Kremlin connections to Russia, talking about U.S. investors. In your opinion, 60 seconds, is this something that needs to be investigated deeper?
Absolutely. And I think there is an Inspector General's investigation going on about the ties between the State Department, the quid pro quos, and the Clinton Foundation. We now know publicly that there's an IRS investigation of the Clinton Foundation. There's little question in my mind that there were quid pro quos that were enacted between the foundation and State Department policy. Absolutely, that needs to be investigated.
All right, now I have to come to you, Franco, on another issue here. I want to get your answer on this. Earlier today, the Democratic National Committee CEO resigned, Amy Dacey. That is a monster resignation in light of what has happened here with the email scandal, and there's discussion about cleaning house in the DNC right now. I give you 45 seconds. Don't you have to admit that there's a problem here in the Democratic hierarchy, and they've got just as much chaos as the Democrats say the Republicans have?
Well, I think there's no doubt both parties have a little bit of house cleaning to do. The RNC has been a disaster under Reince Priebus. He has shown no ability whatsoever to control his nominee. The Republican National Convention under the RNC's watch was a total disaster.
But talk to me about the DNC. I know you're talking about RNC. 30 seconds. Talk to me about the DNC resignation today.
Look, there's a new chair. There's going to be a new chair coming in, clearly a new CEO coming in. I think it's natural as you have a presidential nominee take over the party. This happens on both sides. Hillary Clinton is now, in some ways, the de facto leader of the Democratic National Committee. She's going to bring in her own people. She already brought in a new chief of staff. That already happened under Debbie Wasserman Schultz. I think you're going to see changes on both sides.
Oh, come on. We're going to continue to dig into this as we go along because we got two parties right now that really need a cleaning house. Boy, I'll tell you, this is almost like having to pour bleach on the floor in these two parties. Michael Brown, 630 KHOW in Denver, Franco Ripple. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. Hey, we're going to make a discussion about the ever-widening American right after the break. Penn Jillette magically appears when the Hardline continues.